Where's your favorite place to take college game day? And I say every time, Eugene, Oregon.
Hello and welcome, Duck fans. Where and whenever you're watching or listening, this is the OnceADuck podcast, where we bring you up to date with current and former University of Oregon athletes and give you never before heard stories about your favorite teams and moments in Duck history. I'm your host, Nick Cody. You can follow me at JustFollow61. With me, always, co-host Sam at Samuel101TS. Hope you're following both of us and the main account at OnceADuck. And we know you are, because we just keep rising in followers and subscribers each and every week. And man, this was a really special week because we got a very unique experience of the game. I know you had one actually being there, Sam. What was it like there in Autzen Stadium with that delay?
Well, I can tell you, Nick, I've been to a lot of Duck games, especially over the last 3-4 years or so. I've been to a lot of Duck games. And I can tell you, I don't think there's been a weather delay yet. That might have been the first one. It was a wild experience. About 45 minutes before what kickoff was supposed to be, we started jumping around. It was getting fun. It was getting crazy. The energy was rising up. You know, when warm-ups are wrapping up and you're really starting to feel that vibe, you're going to go into the locker room for the last time and come out ready for war. The energy's rising throughout the building. The rain starts coming down. It had been like a trickle all day. It had been will it not for a good hour or two. It started to monsoon. It never rains in Autzen, but my goodness, you might see a typhoon now and then, and it came down on us. It was pouring nonstop. There was a good 4 or 5 inches worth of water in the student section alone. We were jumping around in what was probably less than clean water, but you know, it was a good time as it slowly made its way down the one drain in the section. It was a crazy experience. It was wild. Then all of a sudden, it's delayed. Everybody has to get out of the bowl of the stadium. We all have to run to the top. Then, as you can imagine, the moment they let everybody down, do you think it was going to be calm? Do you think it would be a peaceful return back to everybody's original seats? Not a chance at all. It was a mad rush to the front. I was lucky to get there. Everybody that I needed to get there was there. We had a great time, great energy throughout the game. The people that were in the front half of the student section, at least, they stayed the whole time throughout what ended up being a really fun ball game. The weather was crazy, but I can tell you this, Nick, it's not very often when I will take off a hoodie to stay warm, and that's what happened last Saturday night.
Well, no one appreciated that delay more than myself, because I was in the middle at the kickoff, what was supposed to be kickoff. I was in the middle of a comedy show in Vegas at Life is Beautiful, a great music and comedy and art festival. And while I was in Vegas, I picked up the best money spent there was getting my new favorite piece of jewelry and bling. My friends, if I am in Autzen Stadium and they let me bring this in, I think I'm going to bring it every single time I go now. In fact, I haven't taken it off since I got back. So just got to say that was an incredible experience, because as soon as I get out of the comedy show, I find out, hey, I haven't missed a thing. I throw on the headphones while I'm walking to my next set. I get to hear a little bit of that Jerry Allen call. It was a great day for me. And no rain in Vegas. It was absolutely beautiful, and got to just have the most perfect day. I found just in the right before kickoff, I was able to find the craft brewery stand that had Hot Valley, the one place I could get a good Eugene beer there, and picked one of those up for a good like $17.50, and it was only one of those I got this weekend. So that was my experience. So I still haven't even been able to capture the whole game yet and watch it again on replay. So your boy's going to keep it a lot shorter this episode, because, hey, that's a good thing. I want to talk less about the game and more with our guests, which we actually have one this week. I am hyped. I know Sam is hyped, but we'll save that for a little bit later. First, lightning round. Sam, let's just trade off our experiences from Saturday and Yeah, just go ahead and use that for our lightning round. We'll bounce back one thing back and forth we recognized at the game. And while I was at the festival listening to the game or whatever else was going on distracting me. Ready and go.
Well, I'm sure you're going to give me some great take about how Jerry Allen really is one of the best play-by-play men in all of sports. And I tend to agree. No one really calls a big play like he does. But as to what was actually happening on the field in the first half, Oregon they were a little slow. They came out a little sluggish after what was a phenomenal game at Ohio State. But in the second half, they got it together. At the end of the first half, there was a little bit of a scary moment. Anthony Brown went down. He didn't make a return in the second half today. Cristobal said he will be fine. He will be a go for Arizona. That's a good thing for Ducks fans. But we were able to see a lot of freshmen play in that game. Obviously, we've seen guys like Brown, for example, who played in the Ohio State game, started in that game, looked very good. He's a freshman. But also we were able to see a lot of other freshmen like Terrence Ferguson catch his first down. Dante Thornton got his first touchdown. Ty Thompson was throwing them all over the field like it was nothing. It was a great game to see young guys be able to develop, be able to grow. They were able to do that, especially in the second 30 minutes of that ball game. Coming out of halftime, it was an interesting feeling. We knew Oregon was going to have the ball, but 17-3, it was kind of expected that game was going to be a little bit more. 17-7, excuse me. I think that might have been 17-7, excuse me. That it didn't feel quite what we wanted it to feel like. The freshmen were able to take over, really get that done behind some good running. Nick, I'm sure you had a great time. From the pictures, it looked like you were really enjoying yourself. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your Saturday?
Yeah, if you give me 35 seconds, I'll take it. Hey, the thing about, I got a first comment. Yeah, Jerry Allen's voice is fantastic. That usually goes without saying, but what also went through my earbuds was the Tom Snee punts, baby. Every time you hear one of those, boom, right into the sky, like one of those Mario Cristobal punches you see at the end of the locker room in a big game. That's the same boom you hear every time one of those babies goes up. MV Snee, make it start trending right now. Oh, one last thing, man. I can only get one more thing in. It's right before I get to go see the whole set of Ludacris standing out of my Duck gear, man. Everybody there gave me a go Ducks, and I'm sitting there just listening to the call, and then all of a sudden I get a text from our great friend Mike who says, hey, Ty Thompson is in the game. So I'm a little over the clock, but I just remember that moment. I tuned right back in. I remember I had my headphones out. I was listening to some music, and all of a sudden I go, okay, I got to walk away from whatever I was watching at the time. And yeah, I think it was Earth Gang right before Ludacris. And I'm like, oh, got to tune in for a second. And I don't regret it. Made my way back up for Luda and worked out just fine.
Well, I got to tell you, I've seen Earth Gang. Earth Gang is phenomenal, number one. Number two, did you act a fool?
I acted a fool. Best set it's up there all time with at least rap and hip hop I've ever seen. It's Luda and LL Cool J for me, and everything else, man. Every single song was a banger. Every single song.
Well, I just have to tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how low?
Second day of the festival, I could get to like a 6. Hey, come on, man. You know, for me, like if I get to 50%, that's pretty low for me. But I was on the railing, so I could use that to get down there, kind of grandpa style. But no,
all the people there. How many area codes?
That stays in Vegas, my friend.
I guess the next question is, what's your fantasy?
Oh man, you can keep going with this, but we have to get out the way, and. Okay, everyone that hasn't tuned out already, thank you. And if you want to subscribe and be a part of our inaugural subscription group, donate $5, Venmo or Cash App works. OnceADuck, you get entered if you enter before September to get your own Letterman. Now,
just a reminder to the folks, from the time this releases, you have literally about 1 week left to get into that inaugural group before September ends. When this release, if you're inaugural group, you'll see it on Thursday or on Friday. About 1 week's time, 7 or 6 days, you will have to get under that wire to get all of our content at the same low price throughout the entirety of the show. After October, it'll start to take up a little bit.
So Sam, wake me up when September ends and I'll figure out who won. Oh no, different group. Sorry, that was after Ludacris. Damn it. Okay, got to get out of that. Got to get back into Duck mode. I got to get myself back in the game, Sam. And that's just the hardest thing to do sometimes. But the Ducks did it. They turned around from Ohio State. And even though it didn't sound so great in the first half, it sounded like the Ducks just outclassed them in the end. And at the end of the day, you know, the amount of talent, especially the freshmen they brought in, just took over the game. What are some of the things you saw?
Well, I can tell you, It was one of those games where clearly the delay had kind of a little bit of effect. You could tell that it was clear that whether it was the crowd or whether it was the players, it definitely did kind of take the air out of the room a little bit, if you will. It kind of made everybody off to a little bit of a slower start. Oregon came out, they were running the ball the way they liked to. I think it was Travis Dye who got looks on the first drive this week. It was CJ on the second drive. Both looked fine. Both were able to get the job done. Oregon just seemed a little slow, a little passive, weren't really willing to open it up in the first half, just kind of getting it done as they needed to do. We saw the Verdell touchdown. We saw Anthony Brown was able to run one in, as we know he's fully capable of doing. And that's exactly what it was. The excitement in my voice right now is about what was happening in the first half. Consistent, but not anything that's really going to draw you in. But then the second half, and it got fun, and it got exciting. Anthony Brown had to sit, unfortunately, but we were able to see two freshman quarterbacks out there, Ty Thompson for the entire third and about half of the fourth quarter. And then we even got some Jay Butterfield action. That was a lot of fun to see. Number 9 out there tossing the ball around. But what I got to say is that the freshmen just looked so good, whether it was Dante Thornton, who on his first touch, a 50-plus yard touchdown. I shouted him out on Twitter. It was worth it then. It's still worth saying it now. It was a really, really impressive play. Also, as we said, Terrence Ferguson was able to get out there, catch his first touchdown. Trey Benson, a big power back. He was able to put in the first of his career. And Ty Thompson throwing them all over the field wherever he needed to. He threw the one to Ferguson. He threw the one to Thornton. And throughout the night, he looked like somebody who, although came out, looked a little bit unsure at first, he definitely stepped up in a big way, especially as the game went on. He looked really good. As people have been saying all week, the future is bright in Eugene.
Yeah, especially we got 2 freshman tight ends getting their first touchdowns, the 2 consecutive weeks. I mean, those guys are going to be scary, and it's amazing that we can bring in that kind of level of talent right now. Because I'm telling you, my recruiting class back in the day, we thought we were pretty special. We thought we were the best recruiting class in Ducks history. And it wasn't something we went around and paraded, but it was an expectation we kind of held each other to. We didn't talk about it much, but when we did, we were just like, man, the future is bright. And this is, I feel it tenfold for these guys right now. And, especially up front, the young guys that are playing right now, getting significant minutes, Alex Forsyth got to sit down a little bit, and we got to see a lot of Jackson Powers Johnson. And it was just incredible to see, the highlights of mauling over a team like that. When you're in the trenches, you just have to do, but when you're doing it the way our guys are physically imposingly, you haven't seen it in Oregon history.
Well, exactly. And you mentioned Alex. Alex is my guy, man. I love being able to watch what he's able to do on the offensive line, just being able to absolutely control from just the snap on, but being able to see a lot of those younger guys stepped up. It just created reassurance, if you will. Obviously, you love to see your big guys get out there and roll, whether it is Alex or it's a guy like Steven Jones or it's a guy like Ryan Walker, it's George Morrow, whoever you may. Obviously, a lot of very extremely capable guys out there, but just being able to see these 18, 19-year-old kids step up, get a chance in this position, that's the guy who's going to be on the field here in 1, 2, 3 years from now. That's who you're going to need to look out for coming up. Nick, I've been saying it all offseason, all season so far. I've been saying, man, you know what, being able to do this podcast give me a lot greater appreciation for the offensive line position and what they've been able to do. This is just another example of where I've been able to learn and see the kind of work these young players are putting in. It is extremely impressive.
Yeah, and you could tell that, especially with Coach Feld, all the work they put in the weight room, it's really showing on the field now. And that fourth quarter program, I mean, it paid off quite a bit in this game. And
they looked good in the fourth.
Finishing people, man, that's what it's all about. Sometimes you're going to, some blocks might not work out the way you planned. Sometimes you might get surprised, caught off guard, but man, you stay consistent and you work together 5 as 1. I know our team preaches it. If you really believe it and you get on the same page, you're unstoppable. And we saw, as we went through the film room last time, when those guys just get butt to butt and cover everything up, there's no space for the defender to break through double teams, and linebackers can't see past guys like that. So they're wondering where the running back is already. So they react a step late, and like that Ohio State CJ Verdell run, I don't think the linebackers could see anything to fill because they were just too busy walking backwards thinking, oh no, I'm going to get blown back by the offensive line because our defensive line cannot hold them. And that's incredible to see. I love it. I always loved a good double team, and we see a ton of them. What I also love is turnover margin. That's where this team has really improved and impressed me the most, and where I think that's the most important stat in football to me personally. You control the football and you take it away from other people, and you know who's been doing a great job of that? The team leader, Verone McKinley, man. This guy is so impressive, not just on the football field. I heard him on Canzano earlier this week, and man, his interview skills just blew my mind. We need to get him on the show at some point because that guy is incredible, and it's paying off on the football field. He's had tons of career highlights, but this season, oh man, he's been something else.
Verone is a phenomenal player. He's the type of guy that I love to see be able to be productive out there. He's a guy that I've been able to meet one or two times, never really been able to talk too much, but able to talk to him, understand that he's a really smart, capable, sharp dude. Love being able to see that in the defensive backfield for the Ducks. Oregon defense has never really been nationally what comes to mind first, but I will say Oregon has diamonds in the rough at that position. I think you're going to start seeing more and more blue chip guys, but some real diamonds in the rough out there who are really able to get it done. Some of those even as capable as the guy that we have coming on our show today, Nick, and it's a guy who I know I'm personally a huge fan of.
Well, and he didn't just come to Oregon for defense. That's my favorite part of his story, and I can't wait to tell it. With us, Dion Jordan, baby. Dion, you were one of my favorite teammates. I hated more than anything that when you came in on offense, you couldn't catch the damn ball, so they put you on defense, and I had to block you. First thing I gotta ask you, what's it like coming to Oregon from, what was your experience, and what was it like transitioning from coming out as one of the tallest wide receiver tight ends I've ever seen and transitioning to the defensive side of the ball?
Oh, man. Well, I think, just getting to the University of Oregon, just itself, I was just happy to be there, man. We came in together. So, like my background, my story, prior to getting to the collegiate level. So, I was just happy to be there, bro. Like I had right, how we rode. We all hung out together, everybody who came in that class. So, I was just happy to be there. And, those first few years, or first year and a half, it was tough, especially transitioning actually from receiver to tight end, because once I got into the tight end room, we had David Paulson, Ed Dixon, like these dudes were good. Like, like talent-wise, I probably was, had a little more, but these dudes were like phenomenal, especially David Paulson. This dude, he did some amazing things for us, so I had to find my, my niche, and I will never forget, deep into our second year there, our redshirt freshman year, or was probably my sophomore year, I was in the tight end room with Coach Osborne, and I just remember him like pretty much talking smack to me. Coach Oz, he gonna say whatever's on his mind, but he was pretty much just like challenging me to get out, find a role on this football team. And him being a special teams coach, he was like, we got positions for you, whatever, Joe, you just got to, show it at practice. So, I took that opportunity, what Coach said, and I found where I can help our team at. And a lot of it started on special teams, just running down there and making tackles, or just being fast and helping hold blocks for these dudes that we had out there making big plays and stuff like that. And, Coach Kelly came and, he figured he can help. He could really help me out, with understanding, my talents. And that's when he brought me over to the defensive side. And, it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun, bro, because, most of us, outside of me and you and like a handful of most of the guys were defensive guys, especially in our class. It was cool to be around those dudes and, work with them at practice, and, just lifelong, friendships came out of that, just how the transition worked out, and, how those dudes helped me become a better defensive player. I played on the other side of my best friend, Josh Perdue. What I'm saying? We lived together and everything. So it was it was just perfect the way, I had that opportunity to transition.
You talk about that transition from offense to defense, and I think for a lot of people, they might not really realize how big of a maneuver that is. You're not just switching positions, the side of the ball. It's really a full mentality switch Talk about how mentally you were able to kind of work your way around that and be able to come to grips that you weren't going to be out there being able to catch the ball and do things, but you were out there to stop somebody. You were out there to stop somebody in their tracks, really put them down in the dirt, and that was the whole mental game going into it.
Well, I say this first, especially if it's like youth watching this, if you want to play, find you a position and get out there and play. That was my only thing, I just wanted to be out there and compete. Being in Autzen Stadium alone is like everything. But once you're on the field, you got the jersey and the helmet. It's like, you want a piece of that. And it was nothing that in my mind that was going to stop me from having the chance to be out there. So that's what it was, like I just wanted to play, and it was like learning everything. It was a little tough, but I had a great coach. My position coach was great. He was very wise. And just like I said, I played on the defense with a lot of guys that I hung out with often. So like we had a really close group, with fellas. So practicing was easy because everybody competed the same way. I don't know, I just kind of like rolled in with these dudes who was already going full speed. And especially like the defense that we had, like a lot of those guys, like it was some like amazing football players that that you had a chance to be over there on the other side of the ball with. So I just wanted to do something. So I just got out there and figured it out.
Yeah, you mentioned your great position coaches. I've always wondered, because Coach Oz would come, bring the tight ends down. We work some double teams together. I always wondered what it was like to go from that coaching style to Coach OnceADuck going out there, what was that like?
Yeah.
He went from a guy, kind of harping on you, making those snide remarks. I mean, love Coach Oz, but sometimes I just get too busy laughing at the stuff he'd say. But Coach OnceADuck, man, he was intense. I remember sometimes he would just zoom past me after a play in practice and go get the guy on the head, and I go, whoa.
Yeah, man. It was just him alone. I think he helped a lot of us. Just that like mentality, like, just go get it. And it was like, it kind of balanced it out on both sides of the ball, like how Chip would be, he was, adamant about how he wanted his stuff to work, and Az was the same way, by helping those big guys, just the effort and the attitude and stuff like that. So it was huge, but it was really, the best part about it was like, he did a great job of like, explaining to us, like the mental side of competing, and like the importance of like being a good teammate and respect and like stuff like that. And I feel like, that was a huge reason why we had a chance to like bring in like top-notch talent. You know what I mean? Like the guys that came after us, bro, like, the ones that were like 5 stars and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? There was a lot of credit to him, and just like being able to get everybody to understand that.
Dion, you mentioned being in that class with Nick. That class, I think, is a very interesting class because it really is the class that I think bridges the gap between kind of Oregon as it was and Oregon what it became. Went from being able to be in those mediocre, those solid bowl games to then being able to go to that national level, those BCS bowl games, what became now just those prominent games. What was it like being a part of that growth and being able to see year from year all that work you were putting in day by day actually really showing legitimate results?
Gee whiz, man. I don't know. Like I said, when we got in, I think Michael James was probably the only like 5-star. I don't know if we had many 5-star recruits, that came in with us.
Mostly.
Yeah, 3. I was a 4, but I didn't even play football my senior year. So it was like, bro, we had guys that just wanted to get after it, man. Like, we just wanted to get after it. Like, that's just what I imagine, even Nick, like, being, like, thrown in the fire at certain points in times of his career and, like, having to coach people because he played on so many positions and been there for X amount of time. Like, we had guys that just it didn't matter, man. We just wanted to get after it. So, like coming in there and like seeing guys like, the Jonathan Stewarts before us, the Dennis Dixons, or even on the defensive side, the Walter Thurmans and Patrick Chuns and, like Will Tukawafus, like these dudes were like kind of like kind of like the same as us. You know, I don't think a lot of them were like 5-star, but they like were go-getter type of guys. So, you know, we just kind of just meshed in with these dudes, and you know, we were blessed to have like talent, you know, come out of Texas, Arcana and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we just kind of like figured it out. And Coach Kelly did a hell of a job, you know, when he got the head coaching job, just putting people in places to succeed.
Yeah. I always feel that we had a real lucky class. We came in, we told ourselves, hey, we wanted to be the best ever. We didn't talk about it a lot, but by the end, we had done things nobody else had done. And in that time there, dude, so many special guys turned out from our class. You, Kiko, Josh, you know, Darren Thomas, LaMichael, obviously, Kenyon, who's still out there with 3 Super Bowl rings. I'll hold our class up with anybody when we debated on this show and represent for us. But man, just the amount of talent, but also the amount of amazing games we had against some of those Arizona schools, I know had to mean a lot to you. So what was it for you? Which one was your favorite? When we debuted the first blackout, was it when we went down for that crazy Arizona game, or what? You know, which one?
You know, it's the crazy Arizona game down there. Was it Foles playing quarterback at the moment? Nick Foles, and bro, that was like the craziest game.
I remember Chip warning us that week and being like, "Hey, I know they, you know, I think they had Barkley at USC at the time, but he was like, dude, Foles is the man." And we were like,
tall guys slinging it. Yeah, bro, it was awesome, man, because it was so back and forth, you know. And that'll probably be the one that I'll say. But it's crazy because, you know, we played a lot of intense games with those guys. Like, regardless of the talent, you know, however it swayed each side, like those dudes came to play. You know, they played us hard, really, really hard. I'd never forget the blackout game, you know, where those dudes came in and thought they had a chance. But I mean, I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed it big time, you know, playing against both schools in the state, because, you know, that it was like those two were my last 2 options that I came down to, other than Oregon. So, and I'll tell you a crazy story, man, about U of A. So I remember, you know, when you're getting recruited, we had like this 7-on-7 passing league tournament down in Tucson at the campus. And I remember I got there late because I had to do the SATs or ACT, one of the two. And I had some nice Jordans and my tennis shoes. And I remember I took the Jordans off. Somebody outside the camp had took my shoes, bro. So like, I was walking around like to meet the coach in the coach's office with a hole, like with my socks with a hole in them and shit.
Damn.
Yo, I had like a little beef with those dudes ever since. Somebody took my shoes from this school. So, you know, I just find anything. But yeah, man, they played us tough. They played us really tough, man. I don't know, man. I enjoyed those games really because my family had a chance to watch me play. And, you know, I feel like those were some of the games I probably played my hardest in, made some of my biggest plays in. So,
yeah, if I lost some J's, I would be playing pissed off too, man.
Yo, you feel me, bro? I was like, oh, y'all played me. Y'all played me. Y'all not gonna find the shoes either. I was walking around coach's office with a sock with a hole in it, bro. Like, it was funny.
That's hilarious.
Oh man, Dan, I remember those Arizona games are always such intense games. I've been able to be at a few of them, and it's always just such an energy. When those teams come from the South like that, they come with a little different energy. They weren't part of that original Pac-8. They really did come in a little later. They've got that kind of chip on their shoulder when they come in. Oregon, they've kind of struggled against the Arizona schools, whether it is on the road or at home. Some prime examples being maybe 2014, 2018, some examples like that. What is it about kind of playing those schools that they do present such an interesting challenge?
I think honestly, man, like a school like both Arizona schools are like they get good recruits. You know, it might not be consistent, you know, like with staffs and things like that, but a lot of people like to go there to go to school or either play. So, you know, they're consistent with the talent. I think, you know, especially when you got like a noon game, those fans in Arizona are a little bit more tipsy, you know, the heat on top of all of that, you know, it kind of make it a little worse. That's my opinion personally, but It was, that's it.
Well, you had a lot of awesome games in college, but man, one of my favorite highlights is you covering Calvin Johnson in the end zone of the NFL. What was it like, that transition to the NFL? What do you remember from that moment specifically?
Yeah, man. So it was a different transition, like learning position-wise. I had to learn a new position, change my body and everything. But, I still do, like, I have the ability to do different things, just because of my length and my speed and things like that. And also because I've played so many different roles in football, like I'm comfortable doing a lot of different things. So, the transition it was a little rocky, but like I truly give like all great, like, the credit I'll say to like really just being able to adapt, to learn different things and like keep my mind focused on whatever that is that I need to get better at. So, it was a little rocky, but things like that. Like I pretty much on every team I've ever played in the NFL, I've had like a special play or package or something like that where I can do, which, it shows me, that, the talent that I have is it's valued and stuff like that to these people at this high level of football and things like that, man. And especially that Calvin Johnson one, man, because I would never forget, like, one of those plays during that game, I had to cover him on the streak route. And this guy, like, this was the first time I seen somebody, like, run so fast. Like, this guy was running so fast. I tried to jam him, and he made me miss. And I was just, like, chasing him, like, oh, no, this is going to be bad. Like, so I feel like how the, DBs feel, like, all of those things. So this is a blessing, man. It's a blessing that I've been able to just be around great coaches and teammates and stuff like that, that highlighted my athletic ability. And, it worked well with the guys I play with.
Dion, we mentioned that professional run, and it's a really impressive one. You played with the Raiders, 49ers, Seahawks, the Dolphins, a lot of great experience. I'm personally a Seahawks fan. I remember sitting in my dorm room my freshman year. You came into a game against the Cardinals and were able to make a big sack there, and I was freaking out, yelling, that's Dion Jordan. That's Dion Jordan right there, right? Usually Madden a bunch. You were great there, man. I just wanted to say, like, what do you take away from those different NFL experiences? Each locker room is different. Each coach is different. What kind of came to you as a player and as a man just being in those different rooms?
Yeah, man. I think the number one thing is like truly like, understanding your value, whether it is to that team, like knowing how hard you work and like, how it's supposed to transition, to success. So understanding like, your role, and your value in those teams, at this level. And I think also just as a young man and as I grew up in the league and as a man, it's like really just enjoying, like having fun, man. Just really just having fun. The deeper you get, the more you play football, it's kind of like no longer a game. You grow up, people got wives and kids and like, you taking care of other faculties. So it kind of can be no longer a game anymore, and we're blessed. I'm blessed. I'll be playing this year again for sure. I stay ready and I'll be staying ready. But it's a blessing, man. Like I get a chance to play. And I think, I asked my teammate, Nick, like that's all I did when I had an opportunity there. Like I showed I liked playing football by the way I played football. And, the older you get and you got a chance to do things that you enjoy, you got to have fun doing it. So I think that was the second thing that I took from it.
Man, winding it down and bringing it back to Eugene. We had a lot of fun back in college. I remember man, I don't think not too many people got as much out of a freshman year as we did redshirted, man. But our playing days were special, getting to go 4 straight BCS games. What did you love about Eugene, and what stands out to you most about those 4 years?
I think, just honestly, the number one thing was my guys, man. Like Yo, I remember going to your mom's house. I never knew it was a Vancouver. Well, that blew my mind at first. I never forget you telling me on the drive, like, bro, wait till we get to the bridge. Wait till you see bro, I never forget these things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was part of me, like, growing up and, like, being on my own and, like, trusting to go hang out and learn. And I never forget Alonzo's mother, you know, because we all lived together. His mom would come and, like, make that big old pot of, like, Spanish food for us and leave it, you know, when she would take off, you know, like, bro, like, that's the best thing, you know, and on top of kicking ass in the process, that was it made it more fun, man.
Yeah.
Dion, last question I'm going to ask you, and I'll let Nick wrap it up. It's a little two-parter here. It's a question I've gotten away from a little recently, and I need to get back to it. First and foremost, you guys were able to rock a lot of looks out on the field. What's one that sticks out to you? And number two, when are we going to see you back on the sideline in a game in Eugene?
Oh, man, that's a good one. The number one, I go with two. I remember the first time we wore the throwbacks with the old school duck. That was my favorite. And anytime we wore white, like, I like the white on white combos, you know. It's just clean. I just like that look. So next time I'll be down, man. Geez, bro. Next time I get the opportunity, man, like the bowl game, you know, if I have the opportunity, I'm for sure there. But it's been a minute. I need to go show some love, you know, and root those guys on in person, for sure.
Yeah, dude. At Autzen Stadium, there's still nothing like it, man. And outside of the moments in Autzen Stadium, some of the moments I remember with you most are on the practice field. And I remember like we were usually cool with each other, but there was one time you were in it like nose tackle and I was in the guard. And we were just having one of those practices and you went off. And then we were battling pretty hard. And I think Howie Long was at the practice. It was like a spring ball practice or something. And we go over to pass rush and he's giving you all these drills and stuff. And I just remember trying to shout at you, get in your head and be like, Howie, don't teach him any of that. He doesn't need it. He's already about to whoop my ass. Come on, man. What moments do you remember battling against me?
Man, a lot of them just our freshman year, man. Like, we're not battling, just being with you, you know, our freshman year. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to remember a lot of the one-on-one battles, like, honestly, bro. Like, from practice, the only one thing I, like, vividly remember from practice was this one time. It was actually twice. I remember little Michael, like, giving me, like, one of those, like, stop and goes. And, like, I was like, damn, like, this is, like, the first time I felt like how everybody else felt chasing this dude. And then I think the number two thing I remember was like when I went to tight end and like how I knew I wanted to play defense was when I was blocking Will Tupuafu. I was like, this is like
the worst.
Not fun, bro. No, it wasn't. It was not cool. I was like, I don't want to be doing this over and over again.
I still get headaches when I think about it.
Bro, it was like the worst thing ever, bro. I did not like that at all.
Man. Well, I love it. Thank you for coming on, brother, especially Arizona week, and wish you the best.
Man.
Hope to see you on the field again this season, and go Ducks.
Yes, sir. Go Ducks. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you. Love you, big dog.
Take it easy, my friend.
All right.
Believe it or not, this is actually going to be the first podcast where I don't edit between the interview and the next segment. That actually just kind of rolled.
Dude, I mean, it's let's keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling.
My goodness, dude, I cannot believe how great these interviews, we keep saying this season, they're just next level. I know we didn't have one last week. This one might have made up for it.
I think it really did. I think between Jeff Schwartz 2 weeks ago and Dion Jordan here, I really think that's at least 1.5 apiece. We evened out to 3 no matter what happened right there. That was so good. As I mentioned before, and I obviously seemed like a big Dion guy over here. Love being able to catch up with him and hear a little bit about what he's been doing. It's really great to hear his perspective on the matchup with Arizona that Oregon plays this week as well.
That, and it just reminded me of a ton of good times. And that's something you can only get at this podcast. You're not going to get that anywhere else, man, because those are the things that we guys see each other with that fraternity of Ducks. And just brings back great memories. And yeah, there's so many guys that we even forgot to mention from that class, but still best class ever, Sam. We've debated it a few times, but we'll debate it again. Best class ever.
I believe you.
Okay, man. Well, moving on. I don't think we've got any film room this week or any time for it because we let that interview run a little bit. But hey, we can look forward to Arizona. We could talk a couple of Arizona matchups. And I know I personally remember, I mean, we've talked about it before. That 2009 game, man, that was some intense stuff. And like Dion said, those fans can get pretty rowdy. I remember the Jack Daniels bottle that hit a cheerleader. Unfortunately, that was just messed up. I remember hearing about that coming back to the locker rooms, just thinking, man, this place was crazy. They were already piling onto the field before it even went to overtime because they thought it was over, and we stole it from them. And that was our path to the Rose Bowl.
Well, and Nick, if you remember, the third episode we ever did of this podcast was called Oh Snap. It was about that entire matchup. A great matchup it was. I will come back to it every year and reference it because it was just that good. I remember sitting on the living room floor watching that game. It really was that mind-blowing. But Oregon and Arizona, especially through your tenure, played a bunch of great games. You mentioned that blackout game in 08, which, by the way, it hasn't been officially announced yet, but I think that's happening again this year. 2009, great road game. 2010, what were you able to do? You were able to wrap up the Pac-12 championship in that ball game. 2011, LaMichael James career best game, always fun to look at. And 2012, 49-0 while wearing chrome domes. It doesn't get much better if you ask me.
Got to issue you a correction there. Pac-10 at the time.
Pac-10,
Old school.
Excuse me. My goodness, it was the year
right?
before. It was the year before.
Hey, that's how we know you're getting older. You're almost out of college, my friend. And yeah, the memory starts doing that to you. I hate to warn you, but
soon enough, I'm going to be complaining about wearing yellow and students leaving early.
Oh yeah, you'll be one of those guys pretty soon. But hey, you know, all
love.
I was one of those even before I graduated. So yeah. I was always a stickler. Why are you guys leaving? Get back at halftime. I remember when they stopped letting people come back. That's when
you got to give them credit. Most people at least stay through shout at this point.
Well, that's fair. I mean, that shout at Fresno State, man, it brought me new energy. And
if you thought that was good, you should have been there for Stony Brook. Stony Brook shout was something I haven't felt in a long time. And you know what? Arizona's going to be better. The later the game, the better the shout.
I completely forgot about it. Dang. This Saturday. So I'm going to have to make up for that at home. And then I'm thinking, and it sounds like I'm going to have a free day for the Cal game. So that might be my next
Friday night ball game. Wear black. It'll be fun.
Oh man, you're always on the uniforms. I love that you're on top of it, man. Cause I know
I'll at least have the color schedule downloaded.
I'll need you to remind me, just make sure I'm bringing my new bling.
Oh, you'll bring your new bling. And one thing that I know is going to be brought to Autzen today will be the Arizona Wildcats. That's what we call a transition, folks.
Ooh.
The Arizona Wildcats will be coming into this one. Well, we got to be honest. They're 0-3. And if we're going to be even more honest, they didn't win a game last season. So, yeah. Nick, I'm not going to say this is the toughest opponent Oregon's going to play all year, but it's a Pac-12 opponent. You always got to be ready. When you're heading into these games with these teams that might not be on the winning side of things recently, how do you go into that game mindset-wise? How do you stay up and ready and be sure you're playing the best ball game you can?
Well, I think a team like Stony Brook was a good test before that, and it's your Pac-12 opener. I think that those are things you're going to lean on, and you're going to want to make a statement going into this conference, especially now that UCLA lost to Fresno State. I think if you can come out and dominate this game, you send a message not only to Arizona, but the rest of the schools in the Pac-12. And, you know, I mean, I know they're in the South Division, and the North Division looks significantly tougher right now, but this whole conference looks like it's there for the taking, and it's all going to be about executing and creating, you know, that every single week is your Super Bowl. And regardless of the opponent, you only have the opportunity to do big things at the end of the season if you take care of each week individually. And I really believe Mario Cristobal's instilled this in this team, not only at the top level, but down at the freshman level. And that's something that, you know, our class, while we did have a lot of guys that played as freshmen, those of us that did redshirt, we weren't always the most engaged in the game plans. We were trying to do the best we could, obviously, to give a good look on scout team. But these guys have so many people on the roster right now on the 3 deep that are going to get in the game if everything goes as planned. So you have to show that you're engaged all week and know the game plan, even if you're the 4th, 5th string guy, because if you get in, you need to be able to execute, not turn the ball over or force turnovers if you're on defense. And if we can do that against Arizona, it's going to be a big sign of things to come this season.
Well, and you have to absolutely imagine that could be the potential at any point. We saw in the Stony Brook game, even when they weren't really ready to have to throw in a backup, it had to happen. And you saw what happened when somebody was ready. The same is across the board. A guy like Dante Thornton, do you think he was going to have an opportunity for a 50-yard touchdown before the game? No, but he stayed ready and he went into it. And when the play happened, he was ready to make it. That's exactly what you have to see out of all these guys. You've got to be ready to step up when the moment comes. Will it happen? I can't guarantee that, but the opportunity occurs, you've got to be ready.
Yeah. Well, and most importantly, go out, execute, have fun, and stay healthy. That's the biggest thing I want to see coming out of this game. No more getting your quarterback hurt. The offensive line needs to take that personally. No matter how it happens, you need to be there for your guy, make sure he's taking as few hits as possible, and that all happens up front. Then beyond that, I want to see as few penalties in this first Pac-12 opener as possible. Team's been pretty good about being disciplined. And third and foremost, if we can continue to have great field position from the punting and kicking game, oh my goodness, we could have, like I hoped last week, a shutout against Arizona. That's what I want to see.
I think it could happen. Nick, I know you're going to give your full game breakdown to subscribers only, but this is the time where I come in, give my less knowledgeable breakdown, and then throw a score out there for you folks. So what I'm going to tell you happens is Oregon is going to come out, and unlike last week where they came out a little slow, I think that's going to be something that is hammered home all week in practice. Be ready, be prepared. When you take the field, be dominant. I think it will happen. I think we'll see Oregon come out to a blistering start. Anthony Brown, Cristobal said it today, he should be good to go. We'll love to see him out there. We'll love to see Verdell and Dye, obviously. I think Oregon's pass game, we might see a little more of the Ohio State version than we saw against Fresno State and Stony Brook. I think that Oregon has a chance to, as he said, put up shutout. Arizona, they're able to put up points. Their defense isn't stopping anything. They have a civet defense, let's be real. But their offense will put up some points. I think they might get a couple touchdowns on the board, one in the first half, one in the second half. But overall, I really think Oregon is able to dominate this one thoroughly. Final score, Ducks 48, Arizona 14.
Ooh, wow. Okay. All right. I had something very similar, but I'm coming back from Vegas. I'm going all in. I'm doubling down this week on the shutout. I'm counting it 48-0 Duckies. I think Autzon's going to be so loud, so crazy. The Arizona team will not know how to handle it, and I don't think they're going to be able to put up points. I think it's going to cause false starts. I think those fans are going to get rowdier and rowdier as the game goes. I think by the time shout comes on, they're just going to want to leave, man. They're just going to hope it ends. So especially with the blackout, I'm going 48-0.
And again, team in blackout, fans, make sure you're wearing green. It is a wear green game. Offset those Arizona fans, make them really stick out. Wear your green. It's going to be a fun ball game. But yeah, as we said, it's undetermined at this point. But blackout probably coming for the Ducks. It's going to be a fun one.
Oh my goodness. And we hope that our premium subscribers like the content that we're going to send out early for you. You're getting this episode already a day early. So we hope you appreciate that. Let us know what you think. Share it with your friends when it goes live on Friday, 3 p.m. and share. And every Friday, you're going to be able to find us right here. Once a Duck, baby, always a Duck. We're here for you. And we want to hear what you want to know in the comments or on Twitter. So get at us.
Absolutely, everybody. Follow him at JustFollow61. Follow me, Samuel101TS. Follow the main account at OnceADuck. We cannot wait to hear from y'all. It is so exciting to be able to week in and week out be able to interact with everybody. Nick, if you got anything else to tell them, and we can get out of here.
You can find us not only there, especially on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, I guess. And I found out we're on Audible and Amazon Music, and we have a 5-star. We have a 5-star review. It says, "Once a duck, always a duck." No podcast embodies this idea better than the show. Nick and Sam are committed to bringing on unique and interesting guests each episode to tell their own unique story about the University of Oregon. Thank you for that review. We hope we get a lot more of them. We hope that you're at the game this weekend and you're loud. Go Ducks. Once a duck, always a duck.